Hello. Welcome to the Island Free Library's program, Frankenstein Tea. Frankenstein Tea is a short story program for adult listeners with me, Kristen Bauman. I'm the director of the Island Free Library here on Block Island. Let me see if I can do a quick couple sentences about Frankenstein Tea. So it started in the beginning of this pandemic that we still experience. So that's like 2 years ago, I believe, coming up in March, 2 years ago, right about now. And that first year and a half or so, I read every day at 3 o'clock. I read adult short stories to adult listeners. I wanted to stay connected to the community and to offer some virtual programming. That was like our first attempts at virtual programming, and so it's back for this winter. COVID is still lingering. The weather can be yucky. Our roads were icy this morning. Maybe you just want to be cozied up inside and be read to, whatever that looks like. Now that it's 2022 and we're still wearing masks and limiting what we do, I wanted to continue reading to you. So I've read January, I'll read through February, I'll read through March, and then we'll see where we're at. I don't read every day anymore. I read once a week on Saturdays. So I hope you come next Saturday at 3 p.m. and sit back and listen to a story. I have a few fun things planned for this series, for this January, February, March series. I'm going to bring in some other readers, and we're going to do some plays, some really short 10-minute, one act, one scene plays for 2 readers. There's some for 3 readers. We'll see what that looks like. But I haven't quite gotten that off the ground yet. So it's just me today. And I'm going to read Ananias Nin. I'm going to read from Under a Glass Bell. I wanted to read Under a Glass Bell, and I might come back to that. But I'm not. For right now, I'm going to read the last short story in this book. Let's see. I should do all the proper things. This is Under a Glass Bell and Other Stories, Ananias Nin, Swallow Press, Ohio University Press, published 1995. This edition, originally published in 1948. This edition is 1995. This story is called Ragtime. The city was asleep on its right side and shaking with violent nightmares. Long puffs of snoring came out of the chimneys. Its feet were sticking out because the clouds did not cover it altogether. There was a hole in them, and the white feathers were falling out. The city had untied all the bridges like so many buttons to feel at ease. Wherever there was lamplight, the city scratched itself until it went out. Trees, houses, telegraph poles lay on their side. The rag picker walked among the roots, the cellars, the breathing sewers, the open pipeworks, looking for odds and ends, for remnants, for rags, broken bottles, paper, tin, and old bread. The rag picker walked in and out of the pockets of the sleeping city with his rag picker's pick, in and out of the pockets over the watch chain on its belly, in and out of the sleeves, around its dusty collar, through the wands of its hair, picking the broken strands. The broken strands to repair mandolins. The fringe on the sleeve, the crumbs of bread, the broken watch face, the grains of tobacco, the subway ticket, the string, the stamp. The rag picker worked in silence among the stains and smells. His bag was swelling. The city turned slowly on its left side, but the eyes of the houses remained closed and the bridges unclasped. The rag picker worked in silence and never looked at anything that was whole. His eyes sought the broken, the worn, the faded, the fragmented. A complete object made him sad. What could one do with a complete object? Put it in a museum? Not touch it? But a torn paper, a shoelace without its double, a cup without saucer, that was stirring. They could be transformed, melted into something else, a twisted piece of pipe. Wonderful, this basket without a handle. Wonderful, this bottle without a stopper. Wonderful, the box without a key. Wonderful, half a dress, the ribbon of a hat, a fan with a feather missing. Wonderful, the camera plate without the camera, the lone bicycle wheel, half a phonograph disc. Fragments, incompleted worlds, brags, detritus, the end of objects, and the beginning of transmutations. The rag picker shook his head with pleasure. He found an object without a name. It shone. It was round. It was inexplicable. The rag picker was happy. He would stop searching. The city would be waking up with the smell of bread. His bag was full. There were even fleas in it, pirouetting. The tail of a dead cat for luck. His shadow walked after him, bent, twice as long. The bag on the shadow was the hump of a camel. The beard, the camel's muzzle. The camels walk up and down the sand dunes. The camels walk up and down. I sat on the camel's hump. It took me to the edge of the city. No trees, no bridge, no pavement. Earth, plain earth, trodden, dead. Shacks of smoke-stained wood from demolished buildings. Between the shacks, gypsy carts. Between the shacks and the carts, a path so narrow that one must walk Indian file. Around the shacks, palisades. Inside the shacks, rags. Rags for beds, rags for chairs, rags for tables. On the rags, men, women, brats. Inside the women, more brats. Fleas. Elbows resting on an old shoe. Head resting on a stuffed deer whose eyes hung loose on a string. The rag picker gives the woman the object without a name. The woman picks it up and looks at the blank disc, then behind it. She hears tick, 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 tick. She says it is a clock. The rag picker puts it to his ear and agrees it ticks like a clock, but since its face is blank, they will never know the time. Tick, 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 the beat of time and no hour showing. The tip of the shack is pointed like an Arab tent, the windows oblique like oriental eyes. On the sill, a flower pot, flowers made of beads and iron stems which fell from a tomb. The woman waters them, and the stems are rusty. The brats sitting in the mud are trying to make an old shoe float like a boat. The woman cuts her thread with half a scissor. The rag picker reads the newspaper with broken specks. The children go to the fountain with leaky pails. When they come back, the pails are empty. The rag pickers crouch around the contents of their bags. Nails fall out. A roof tile. A signpost with letters missing. Out of the gypsy cart behind them comes a torso on stilts with his head twisted to one side. What had he done with his legs and arms? Were they under the pile of rags? Had he been thrown out of a window? A fragment of a man found at dawn. Through the cracks in the shacks came the strum of a mandolin with one string. The rag picker looks at me with his one leaking eye. I pick a basket without bottom, the rim of a hat, the lining of a coat. Touch myself. Am I complete? Arms, legs, hair, eyes? Where is the sole of my foot? I take off my shoe to see, to feel, laugh. Glued to my soul is a blue rag, ragged but blue like cobalt dust. The rain falls. I pick up the skeleton of an umbrella, sit on a hill of corks perfumed by the smell of wine. A rag picker passes, the handle of a knife in his hand. With it, he points to a path of dead oysters. At the end of the path is my blue dress. I had wept over its death. I had danced in it when I was 17, danced until it fell into pieces. I try to put it on and come out the other side. I cannot stay inside of it. Here I am, and there the dress, and forever, I forever out of the blue dress I had loved. And I dance right through air and fall on the floor because one of my heels came off. The heel I lost on a rainy night walking up a hill, kissing my loved one deliriously. Where are all the other things, I say? Where are all the things I thought dead? The rag picker gave me a wisdom tooth and my long hair, which I had cut off. Then he sinks into a pile of rags, and when I try to pick him up, I find a scarecrow in my hands with sleeves of straw and a high top hat with a bullet hole through it. The rag pickers are sitting around a fire made of broken shutters, window frames, artificial beards, chestnuts, horses' tails, last year's holy palm leaves. The cripple sits on the stump of his torso with his stilts beside him. Out of the shacks and the gypsy carts come the women and the brats. Can't one throw anything away forever? I asked. The rag picker laughs out of the corner of his mouth, half a laugh, a fragment of a laugh, and they all begin to sing. First came the breath of garlic, which they hang like little red Chinese lanterns in their shacks. The breath of garlic followed by a serpentine song. Nothing is lost, but it changes into the new string's old string, in the new bag, old bag, in the new pan, old tin, in the new shoe, old leather, in the new silk, old hair, in the new hat, old straw, in the new man, the child, and the new, not new, the new, not new, the new, not new. All night the rag picker sang the new, not new, the new, not new, until I fell asleep and they picked me up and put me in a bag. Ananias Nin, Ragtime. I didn't edit this story as I read it. I try not to edit. We take stories in the context of when they were written. Had I been editing, I would not have said Oriental eyes. I would have said Asian eyes. Orientals are only rugs, not people. Asian eyes. I think the pointed like an Arab tent might be fine. I think that would have been my edit. Have a great afternoon, Block Island and beyond. We have sunshine, blue sky, ice on the streets is melting. Breathe deep, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your distance, but have some fun. Thanks for coming. I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock for another episode of Frankenstein Tea. Peace.